So, if you're an aspiring entrepreneur, you've probably asked yourself this a million times. Where do great business ideas actually come from? Well, you know what? It's not some kind of magic. Today, we're going to break down a really systematic way to spot real opportunities, drawing on some great material from University Utara Malaysia's entrepreneurship program.
Right. So where are these game-changing business ideas hiding? Honestly, it can feel like you're searching for a needle in a haystack. But here's the thing. The most successful entrepreneurs, they don't just sit around and wait for inspiration to strike. Nope, they actually have a system for finding it. And it turns out that whole system pretty much boils down to three main proven approaches. So instead of just hoping for some random light bulb moment, they're actively out there hunting for opportunities using these specific methods. And here they are. 1. Observing trends. 2. Solving problems. And 3. Finding gaps in the market. Now, don't think of these as just a checklist. Think of them as three totally different lenses you can use to look at the world and to spot the potential that, trust me, pretty much everyone else is missing. Okay, let's dive into that first approach, observing trends. This is all about taking a step back, looking at the big picture, and really trying to see where the world is heading. So what is a trend, really, in a business sense? We're not talking about what's cool for 5 minutes. A real trend is a major, long-term shift in society, something that has a power and, more importantly, the staying power to actually shape what the future looks like. And you've got to get this distinction because it is absolutely critical. A trend, think of it like a deep, strong root system growing underground. A fad, on the other hand, is a firework. It's bright, it's exciting, but it's gone in a flash. If you're starting a business, chasing fads is just a recipe for burning out. But building on a solid trend, that gives you a foundation for real, long-term success. Now, the real magic happens when these big trends start to overlap and converge. I mean, think about the smartphone. It wasn't just a single invention that came out of nowhere. It was the absolute perfect storm. It was born right at the intersection of these huge shifts, a social trend of people being more mobile, a tech trend of making electronics smaller and smaller, and an economic trend of people buying and banking online. When powerful trends like these collide, they don't just create little opportunities, they create entire new industries. All right, so let's move on to our second approach, which is maybe the most classic entrepreneurial path there is, solving a problem. This is all about seeing a pain point in the world and creating the cure. You know, this quote just nails it. So many of the best business ideas, they aren't found in some stuffy market report. They're found in our own daily frustrations. The minute you find yourself thinking, there has to be a better way to do this, well, you've just stumbled upon the potential seed of a business, because you're probably not the only one feeling that pain. Let me give you a perfect case study. Here was the problem. As cell phones got more and more advanced, a lot of older adults found them incredibly difficult to use. You know, the buttons were tiny, the text was impossible to read, the sound wasn't clear. This was a real, widespread problem affecting millions of people. And the solution? It was just brilliant in how simple it was. The Jitterbug phone. The company, great call, made this super smart decision. Instead of trying to pack in more features to compete with the latest smartphone, they decided to serve a completely overlooked market with a product designed just for them. I mean, just look at these features for a second. Every single one is a direct answer to a problem we just talked about. A big keypad for easy dialing, a loud, clear speaker so you can actually hear, text that's easy to read, and simple messaging. This is basically a masterclass in how to solve a specific problem for a specific audience. And that brings us to our third and final approach, finding a gap in the market. This one's all about identifying a need that just isn't being met, or a group of customers that everyone else is ignoring. So a market gap is, well, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a hole in the market where people need a product or a service, but for whatever reason, it's either not available where they are or just doesn't even exist yet. Spotting one of these is like finding a wide-open runway for a new business to take off. Here's a fantastic example. For decades, I mean literally decades, the guitar industry designed and sold its products almost exclusively to men. Then, an entrepreneur named Tish Soravolo looked at this massive market and saw this glaring gap. Nobody was making guitars specifically for women and girls. So what did she do? She filled that gap herself. She started Daisy Rock Guitars, a company that designs instruments from the ground up exclusively for female players. See, she didn't need to reinvent the guitar. She just had to reimagine it for this huge, underserved audience. And again, the secret sauce is in the details. The guitars weren't just painted pink, they were stylish and lightweight.
They came in feminine colors, yeah, but most importantly, they were actually designed differently, with things like slimmer necks that were better suited for women's hands. By focusing like a laser on this gap, she built an incredibly successful company.
So when you put all of this together, what's the big takeaway? It's that entrepreneurial opportunity isn't some random lightning strike of inspiration. It's a pattern, and it is all around you right now, just waiting to be seen.
By using these three entrepreneurial lenses, observing trends, solving problems, and identifying market gaps, you can literally train yourself to see the world differently. You can start to systematically spot the kind of potential that other people just walk right past.
So we're going to leave you with a challenge. As you go about the rest of your day, consciously try to look through these three lenses. What frustrations are you experiencing? What big trends are shaping your community? What gaps do you see? Because the next great business idea might be hiding in plain sight, just waiting for you to find it.